Now, as I finish up here, I want to remind you all, the hard work is still to come. On this October 20th, that's going to be the next phase of it. Regardless of the results, the next phase starts October 20th. If we don't get that referendum, we keep pushing, and we get Mitch Sylvester's on the ballot. Because that one will be binding. It may take some time, but we'll get there. If we do get a good result, we still need to make sure this government's going to do it. Because there's a lot of people that don't believe Premier Daniel Smith would. Now, I'm currently touring with Bruce Pardy, Dennis Kelema, and Matt Rowley. You guys familiar with those guys? Well, Bruce is the one that keeps reminding us that at one point we're going to have to put the football into the hand of the government. And you need to trust that government or not in order to carry it across the finish line. So last night in Red Deer, we were doing a public input, asking the audience to let us know what they think, questions, comments, concerns, outbursts, all that good stuff. And there was a common theme. What happens after? If we get there, what happens after? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that with you because your next speaker is Bruce Pardy. All the way from Ontario, we dragged him out here to be part of Alberta Day. And he's been donating his blood as well. Where is he? There he is. We like to call him Cold Water Bruce because he tells you the truth, just the way it is. Some of it's going to be hard to hear, but at least we can be prepared to do it. And then we're also going to be in Calgary on Thursday, continuing up this tour. So if you're in Calgary, come and join us. But without further ado, let's bring the interloper from Ontario up. Mr. Do you go by doctor? No, Mr. Pardy. Thank you. Oh. You got an announcement?
You bet. Yeah, you betcha. Before Bruce comes up, to the two lovely ladies that were sitting inside with me having breakfast this morning, if you're still here, you left your keys at the table, so you won't be going anywhere. So I left them with the front desk there at Chris, and the ladies at the till, you'll be able to pick up your keys there.
Matchmaking, too. Cool. Look at that. Well, here you go, Bruce. It's all yours.
Hey, Bruce.
Max, you are like the voice of God. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Very good. Thank you, Jason. What a great guy. I am the interloper from Ontario. I apologize for that. I'm here. Thank you. It is fabulous to be amongst you. It's fabulous to be in Alberta. I always enjoy coming here. It is like experiencing the spirit of the West. But I don't mean just the spirit of Western Canada. I mean the spirit of Western civilization. Because here's the thing. You have a moment. Alberta has a moment that comes along almost never in the life of a civilization. You will know as well as I do that Western countries, and Canada is one of the worst in these respects, but Western countries are unraveling. You have a moment, an opportunity, an opening, yes, to save yourselves, yes, to save your society and your culture, the one that exists in this province as it exists right now, yes. But you have the chance to do even more than that. And I don't mean to put pressure on you. But in addition to saving yourselves, which you must do, you also may inadvertently save this country. But that is not all. You have a chance to save Western civilization. You may hold the future of Western civilization in your hands. And here's why. Because the singular achievement of Western civilization is individual autonomy. The liberty of the individual person to decide their own lives, to own their own property, to raise their own children. And that idea is starting to fade. It is starting to fade all over the Western world. And here's the thing. We have grown up, more or less, and sometimes it's less, but we have grown up in a Western country. And we think that a world in which people have control over their own lives is normal. But if you look at the expanse of human history, those years and moments where individuals have had actual liberty is very, very small. Most human societies consist of some variation of dictatorship, communism, socialism, or some other kind of collective authority to tell the people what to do. In other words, the individual freedoms that we enjoy and we insist upon are the aberration, not the norm. Now, it worked for a long time. The English can lay claim to having invented the thing called the rule of law. The Americans can claim to have invented the idea of constitutional rights and checks and balances. And together, those two traditions, very closely related to each other, are the source of much of the ideas and the achievements of individual freedom. But that tradition is fading away. And you can see that by looking at our own country in Canada. And here's why. This idea called the rule of law has always just been an idea. And the idea is this, that people in power will restrain themselves. Our legislatures, our bureaucrats, our judges will each have a role, and they will stick to that role, and they will not interfere otherwise in the lives of the people. And that idea is terrific, and it worked for a long time. But it does not work now because the people who have power don't believe in that idea anymore. They believe that their job is to manage you, to manage economies, to manage healthcare, to manage speech, to manage beliefs, to manage education, to manage management. We live in a managerial age, not the age of the rule of law, not the age of individual liberty. We live in the age of management. So here is the challenge for you. This is going to be a difficult task. I believe that you will succeed. But here's the challenge. It really is in two bits. Both of them are difficult, but both can be done. The first bit is the actual independence part. You need to get Alberta out of Canada. But here's the second bit, and it is equally difficult. You also need to get Canada out of Alberta. And there is an awful lot of Canada inside Alberta. We have in Canada this thing I like to call the managerial state. It also may know it as the nanny state, or the deep state, or the administrative state. But we have a managerial state in Canada. Here's the thing. You have one in Alberta too. I did a debate with Jason Kenney myself a few months ago. And there was one thing that Jason said that made me think, I wonder if he's right. Here's what he said. And I'm going to paraphrase, I don't remember the exact words, but he said, the people of Alberta, or most of them, independents or not, will continue to demand a full-service welfare state. I hope he's wrong. Because if he is right, then what is the point of this? Your objective, I hope, and this is what I've been hearing from everybody I've been talking to, so thank God for that. But what I think this is about is to get yourself to be free people again. And what does that mean? Let's just ask this question. You want to be free. Terrific. What is that? What does that mean? And I'll tell you what I think that means. If you ask anybody, they might give you a different answer. Here's what my answer would be. You are free if you are not subject to the coercion of other people. That is, you are not subject to their force or threats of force to do what you do not want to do, or to be prevented from doing what you do want to do from your fellow citizens and from the state. But that's a very demanding definition. Note what it means. If you are not subject to the force of the state, other than to prevent you from imposing upon other people, that means that so many of the things that governments in Canada and Alberta and the rest of the provinces do cannot be tolerated, because it means you will not be free. So let's just take the most problematic ones. If you are free, if you are not subject to coercion, if that is what it means, well, that means that in a future independent Alberta that is genuinely a free country, you don't have a full-service welfare state. It means you do not have a single-payer public health care system. It means you do not have property taxes. It means you do not have income taxes. Thank you very much. Exactly. That's right. It means maybe that you do not have a system of public education. Now, why? Why are all these things? Why are all these things contrary to the existence of a free country? Because they are coercive. Let's just take education for a moment. Like, who would ever think of getting rid of public education? For goodness sakes, that is the foundation of a proper society, is it not? The answer is no. Here's why. Public education is coercive in at least two ways. Number one, it requires that the state take your money to fund the system. whether you want to give it or not. That's coercive. And number two, public education by definition means that the state controls the curriculum that is taught to your children. Both of those things cannot be and still claim to live in a free country. So, you have your work cut out for you. But I'm confident that there are enough Albertans who will see that their country, Canada, is unraveling, coming apart. Adam mentioned, and I think quite correctly, the state of the problem, which is, yes, it's our Canadian Constitution. Our Canadian Constitution does not work well. But it's more than that. I mean, that's the first problem. But it's more than that. It is also your fellow Canadians. Adam mentioned the voting records over time, and I want to add to the things that he said this way. After the most recent election, and I don't want to make this a partisan thing, because I'm not convinced that if you had a change of government, things would radically change anyway or either. But just to get a taste of the way in which Alberta and Saskatchewan are out of step with the rest of this country. Shortly after the most recent federal election, I went to hear a Conservative Party strategist give a talk about what happened during the election, an election they thought they were going to win. And he was, of course, very unhappy to have lost, but he was extremely pleased with the numbers. He said, in this last election, we got a popular vote of 41%. And he said, that is the high water mark for the Conservative Party in the modern era. And I sat in my chair and I thought, well, wait a minute. You are telling us, I thought to myself, you are telling us that you can never win unless the lefties split the vote. You are telling us that there is no circumstance under which you will actually represent the majority of Canadian voters. That's what that means. So I agree with the speakers you've heard already. There is no reforming this country. It's been tried and tried and tried again. The entrenched powers that be will not allow it to happen. And that is also one of the risks and dangers that you will encounter in this independence drive. I think we have to face reality, which is there are interests in this country that are vehemently opposed to this idea. And they will pull out all the stops to make sure that it fails. And if we know that ahead of time, we will understand that when they come up, those obstacles, that they are just obstacles from those interests who are scared. Because the fact of the matter is that Canada as a country may not be viable without you. And if it's not viable without you, then they are going to pull out all the stops to make sure that this does not happen. So be prepared. And finally, to the Constitution. I'm not going to go through all the details of what I think a future Alberta Constitution should say, but here's the thing. The most important starting point for Alberta is this, going back to my suggestion that one of your biggest challenges will be to get Canada out of Alberta. The thing not to do, Alberta, is to take what you're familiar with and reproduce it. The Canadian Constitution is flawed. Don't take it and say to yourself, all right, how can we change this so that it works better? No, 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 no. That's a bit like a government taking their budget, which is vastly overblown and too high, and saying, well, we're going to fix the budget. Here's the budget, where can we trim? That's not the way you do that. What you do is you say, it's gone. Start from zero. What is the minimum amount that we can have and still have the thing function? Same with the Constitution. Clear it off. Start with a blank slate, a clean table. Start with nothing. And then ask yourself, what is the minimum government we can do with? Why do we need a state? Well, there are some reasons. I don't mean to be stateless. That's anarchy. That won't work. But what is the minimum kind of state that we can get by with? Let's map it out. Let's describe what it is. What are the minimal rules? What are the limitations? Start that way. If you start that way with nothing and then build up, rather than starting with what you know and try and scrape away, then we got a shot. Thank you so much for having me. So great to see you. Have a great day, and let's hear it for an independent Alberta.